Let's have our next storyteller. Please welcome Bill Drew.
I walk into Denny's in Buffalo, New York, but I'm not there looking for breakfast. I'm looking for an answer to a prayer. My wife and I got married in 1996, which is pretty incredible when you realize that the first time we met, she thought I was a complete and utter douchebag. And she's right, I am, today, a fully recovering douchebag. We got married anyway. And we thought we would have kids right out of the gate for two reasons. One, we both really wanted it, right? We had expressed that early on. And we were from huge families. We had 7 kids on both sides of our family. So we figured it was a no-brainer, right? Babies would just start popping out all of a sudden. But it didn't happen for years and years and years. No popping out of the babies. What was going on? We weren't deterred. We had to figure out how to make this happen. So we put our heads together and we decided to make this our mission, our goal, our job, right? So any couples out here tonight, you want to make sex fun, make it a job, right? But if you really want to dial that passion up to 11, introduce what my wife and I did, a spreadsheet into the equation, dates, times, and then follow it to a T, right? I would get calls at work and she would say, "You gotta come home because of the spreadsheet." You know, I would go home. One night, her parents over for dinner. We run upstairs because of the spreadsheet. The coffee's brewing. It's a minute, 20 seconds tops. The clothes are still on. Her parents don't know anything about it, right? Another night, we're upstairs in the bedroom, covering off on the spreadsheet, and my wife had read this article about gravity, right? If she could tilt her pelvis up, the swimmers would, have a better chance of hitting their target. So the spreadsheet happens, and then she's like, "Get my hips up." So I'm running around the room looking for shoe boxes and pillows and, anything, and I'm hoisting up her pelvis. She's like, "Higher, higher." Like, my legs. I'm like, "Okay." So I start rigging up a pulley system, literally with belts. I'm tying them together. I mean, if Rube Goldberg was into S&M, this is like his dungeon. It is so ghetto, man, but who cares, right? I mean, we're going for it. We are committed to make it happen, but after the spreadsheet and the pulleys, still no babies. But we are not deterred. We're going to make it happen, right? So we look at the landscape. What else is available to us? Surrogate. Now, for the longest time, I thought this meant I got to have sex with another woman. So that was cleared up, and that option was off the table. So we moved on, and domestic adoption, perfect. So we find an agency. We send them our stuff. A few days later, a birth mother wants to meet us in Buffalo, New York, right? We hop in the Subaru Outback, and we make the trek to Buffalo. And we walk into Denny's, and we see pretty much everyone you would expect to see in Denny's in Buffalo, New York, except for one woman sitting by herself over in the corner. So we walk over, and we introduce ourselves, and it's her. It's the birth mother. And we have a 45-minute conversation, and it's so awkward. Right? I mean, she's shy, she's nervous, but she's so young, and we just seem so old, right? I'm almost old enough to be her father. I didn't say that to her, but that's actually the truth. So after we're just done with anything to talk about, we get back in the car and we head back to Vermont. And we don't really know what happened. A couple days later, we get the good news phone call from the adoption agency. She wants us to be the parents. Oh my God, hallelujah, right? So we go into full-on baby mode. And everyone is throwing showers for us. I mean, because everybody knows our story. It's like 6 showers. We're like filling up rooms with everything. I mean, Pampers and toys and baby food and stuff. I don't even know what it is, but just throw it in the room. Who cares, right? So a few months later, we get the call. There's a due date set, so we have to go back to Buffalo to be there for the birth and to get our baby. We don't really know what we're doing. We put everything in that Subaru, and I mean everything. Everything that child needs until he or she is 6 is coming with us. Whatever, right? We get all the way out to Buffalo. We set up shop in this Marriott Courtyard hotel room, and we talk to the birth mother on the phone for a couple of days. And it all seems fine. And day 3, we don't hear from her. And day 4, we don't hear from her again. And that day continues with no communication. And just before 5 o'clock, the phone rings in that hotel room. And my wife answers the phone, and she has her back to me, and it's a really brief conversation. And she turns to me, and there are tears flowing down her face. And she said, the birth mother has decided to keep the baby. We're not going to be parents. And in that moment, I just remember it so clearly, in this stupid Marriott Courtyard hotel room, the disappointment, the despair, it fills up the room, and it sucks the air and the life and the energy out of the space, and you can't hide, and all you can do is cry, which we did. My wife is so distraught, she's throwing up, literally, she's convulsing. We get in the car the next morning, we head back to Vermont, and we try to get back into our lives. It's hard. I'm a friggin' zombie at work, and my wife is still just absolutely can't handle it. She's still getting sick. I come home 2 weeks later, it's a Thursday night, I remember it vividly. I walk into the kitchen, and my wife's not there, and she says, I'll be down in a second. She comes down the stairs, and I look, and she's crying. I thought we were past that. It's a kind of a male thing to say. And she walks towards me, but the tears are different. Something about her face is different. And she gets right up next to me, and her hands are behind her back. And she pulls out a pregnancy test, and she says, it's positive. She says, we're having a baby. And so I guess when we took that long, slow, sad trip back from Buffalo that was full, the car was filled with everything except a baby, we were actually bringing a baby home. We just didn't know it at the time. And so that was 17 years ago, and my daughter just finished her junior year in high school, and she's beautiful, and she's talented, and she's smart, and she has absolutely no appetite for Denny's. Thank you.